So we got the new belts, and we're going to start with the A belt for the motor and the motor pulley, 4L460. You see it matches the old one there. So of course we got it unplugged for safety, and I think I can just roll this one off by hand off of the big pulley. Let's see. See, the big pulley is actually about twice the thickness of the A belt. And it just rolls right off. Okay. Now for the new guy, we'll start it on the motor pulley. Always start on the smaller pulley and then work your way on to the big pulley. Let me zoom out here for a good view, and I think I can just roll it right on. Perfect. Oh yeah, and that's good belt tension. I like it. And it usually sits to the right, so I'll just give it a couple turns, and I mean, I could push it over that way. Now that was the easy one, and this B belt, I got to figure this out because I took these guards off before, but this one is way more involved to change out for the actual between the two lathe pulleys. So to release the tension, I can grab this guy. Oh, this is the new B belt, by the way. It is a B44. To release the tension, I grab this lever. It'll actually swing the whole motor assembly closer to the lathe to release the belt tension. Okay, just like that. And I'm gonna have to figure this out, so I'll come back with you guys. I know how to get this pulley out of here, where there's a set screw inside this pulley with access through this hole. But as for this guy, I think this whole gear train, if you want to call it, has to come out so I can get the old belt off, new belt in. Of course you can just cut the old belt, but we'll see how it all comes apart. Guys, a startling breakthrough in getting a lathe apart to get this belt off. So I've been wondering what this shaft with these two gears were for in the back, and it still could serve another purpose, but in terms of being able to get the chuck off, which is going to help me get the belt off eventually, but I was also wondering how to get the chuck off, and I was like, you know what, I have a 4-jaw chuck here, and I'm looking at the back of it. I'm like, okay, I got some threads there, so it's got to unthread off. And then I was over here, and I was like, okay, I got me another 3-jaw chuck, and again, it's threaded in the center, so it must just thread on to the lathe. But I'm thinking, how am I going to do it? So I'm holding this guy, and I'm holding this by hand. I'm like, there's no way. There's just no way. And I figured out, this guy, when you bring this lever in and you mesh the teeth of this gear and these two gears, and what you can do is you can move the chuck a little bit as you're doing it. I already have it just right. You lock those gears in, so now this whole shaft and gear train won't move. And then I simply took the chuck key and I put it in one of the square holes, and I just put some effort and lefty-loosey'd it. And as you can see, this guy's coming right out. I got my material in there, so it's gonna take a little bit of an extra holding up and holding out to the right. But the whole thing just unthreads right off. I'll just lay this in my tray here. I got my guards off with my two flat screws for each one. Okay, so now we figured that out. So we're one step closer. I was able to take this screw out because there's a split here. This screw is super tight. There's a split there, but I don't know how much that's actually going to do me because the split doesn't carry to the other side. This whole casted piece, it's not like it's just going to swing open. So I'm trying to figure that out, but I am closer. Also, this little pin here I can pop that out, and that'll separate this whole piece from this gear. And if you can, I don't know if the camera will pick it up. Maybe if I bring it up to 12 o'clock. Where the O is, there's actually a hole where that pin locks into this pulley here. Oh yeah, you can kind of see it just right there at that angle, kind of. So that's got to be part of the game too. So I'm there. Also, this guy I was able to unthread from this side once I took the screw out, because it's a split nut, so the screw brings it nice and tight to clamp down onto those threads. So I was able to bring that out most of the way, but of course it is hitting this casted piece here when I try to bring it all the way off, so I'd have to take these gears off. But there's got to be a way to get this belt off just by taking this stuff off here. So I'm gonna keep, now if I loosen that, I'm gonna keep working at it, but I know I'm getting there. I'm just not seeing one or two more pieces of the puzzle. We'll keep at it. Okay, mystery solved on getting this bolt loose here. I love these vice grip adjustables so they don't slip. So I got my thickest flathead I could, put it down the slot of the bolt head, and then clamp my vice grip adjustables onto there, and then just gave it some leverage. As you can see, I have it loose. So I'll set those to the side. And maybe this split, when you release the tension by taking these bolts out, maybe the split's just enough to get the whole shaft moving. I don't know. I really just don't know, but we're getting somewhere. Give them a little tap either way. Also keep in mind this thing needs to be oiled and you know, I guess lubricated to get stuff to move freely. So I could be fighting that, so I don't know. So that's also part of the game. I just got to figure out exactly what I need to do to make it happen. So we'll keep at it. Next day, Friday, happy Friday. So we got it figured out. So I grabbed a piece of pipe and I stepped the bearings down with the washers so I could put a 3/8 nut, and I found a piece of long 3/8 all thread, just what I had laying around. I got a washer on the back side and another 3/8 nut, so I'm holding this while I ratchet on this nut, and it's pulling the whole shaft this way. And I have this this lock nut back here. Like I said, I couldn't clear this, so I'm just backing it off slowly, and I'm cranking the I'll have to try to put an elbow on this to film on my adjustable, but as you can see, it's steadily going. I'll just keep backing that lock nut off. Hopefully I can just slip it off and then undo the all thread once it's loose enough to slide the whole thing out. But it is slowly but surely going. I'll have to oil this up real well when I go back in with it. I'll back that off a little bit more. As you can see, the threads are going in. They're going to clear the hole, because it's only meant to go this way, because where the chuck thread's on, that's bigger than the bore in here. So with these locking caps out, you release the tension and it's coming out this way. You'll hear that. I guess it's real tight because it hasn't been taken out in quite a while. So I'll keep working it, and then we will I'll show you the results after. So after much coaxing with the all thread setup, different pipe attachments, yes, even PVC will work because this stuff is not that super tight in the press fit. Like I said, once you take these bolts out. So I finally get everything loose, and it came down to this gear was tight on the shaft. So unfortunately I had to take the soft hammer and knock it. And then there was, I couldn't use push-off bolts because then this would get pushed against that, which would have been up against here, that casting, and it just wouldn't have worked. But I got the whole thing. Will that sit right there and not fall down? Look at that. Got the whole shaft out. And I'll try to grab this whole assembly. I want to be super careful with it. There's the back side of the gear. There's the front side. So yeah, that bore, just have to oil it up, make sure it's a smooth fit. And it looks like the woodruff key right there slots into this gear right here. That came out a while ago, so that's how I know is the bore against the shaft there. And then this guy is out. They clearance the inside there. Oh, and they have like a, what is that? Some kind of a cutout there, as you can see, but look at that, the whole thing's out. So now the belt is still not, old belt's still not out, so now I gotta get this guy out. Hopefully this one's a lot easier. And once I get this out, old belt out, and then new belt in. I'll have you know, after much back and forth and just thinking about it, hitting this, hitting that, this screw and bolt, this rides in this groove right here. So you take this guy all the way out of this threaded hole right here, you set to the side, and then a little spring right here sits in this hole and rides against this face here. So you're gonna wanna take that out so you don't lose it. Next, you have two of these tapered pins, and it might be hard to see, but it's thicker on the where my thumb is, and it tapers down to a thinner side. So these pins only knock out one way, and there's two of them. And you have to look at your holes. One hole is bigger than the other right here. And then same thing, the smaller holes will line up with each other, and there's one over here. You can see that. And then the bigger side. So it's gonna come out the bigger side on both sides. Once you get that out, I took one of my punches, and right here, the shaft, you can knock it. And I've knocked it out this far. And then now it looks like to knock it, to get more of a straight on hit, I gotta get my tension adjustment out of the way. So it's simply this cotter pin, put that in the corner of my tray, take it out, let this fall and rest on the motor. And now I can really get in there. I can drive on the shaft to drive the internal shaft that runs through these two gears and this shaft assembly, drive it all the way out. and then the belt's gonna come out. I promise you the belt's gonna come out, and it's gonna be great when it does. So why don't I just set you guys here, or maybe, I wonder if you could even see, if I move my quick change stuff. I set you there? Yeah, you guys can see there. All right. But hey, once I figure this out, then it'll be easier for next time. Oh, nice. Oh, we got it. That's it. Okay, come over here. Look at that. We could even let that rest like that, because this belt, or doesn't want to rest like that, it doesn't matter, because after much fighting, one B belt, look at that, it's off. Okay, we videoed all the steps to get it apart. We'll fish that new belt in and we'll put it all back in the reverse order. Of course, after I clean up any parts and oil them up super well so that they're not so stiff for the next time around. So thanks for watching, and the next time you see this lathe, it's going to be running. Okay, one quick note, not everything is the same on the way back. You'll have to switch up because you'll have to push off of this side to pull your whole shaft in. You can see I almost got it all the way back in. And this is my setup. I got a couple bearings, a washer, and then my 3/8 nut on my all thread, of course, and just the inside race of a bearing that I cut out years ago, and that's pushing off this face. And I just got a thick washer against the end of the shaft on this side with a nut, so I can hold that and crank this to pull the shaft back in. But in order to get clearance for these bearings to fit here, I had to take off this gear assembly, which comes out of this hole here, and the bolt that holds it in threads in right there, and the bolt is a square head bolt right there, which goes through that slot. So I took that out, and this front gear meshes in with this big gear, which then meshes in with this smaller gear, which is for your threading, so you can engage the saddle here and disengage to clamp onto here when the machine's ready to then cut for whatever thread setup that's for. And then, like I said, I have the other gears, so I can switch these out for the different threading, but everything's got to be just so. And unfortunately, I was whacking on the handle part for this and it broke off, so not too happy about that, but we'll have to figure something out. But I can still move it pretty freely. But yeah, just be super careful if you got an old lathe like this. That is just a cast part, and I shouldn't have been hammering on it. That was not wise. So, but we'll keep it going. We got the belt on, and we're almost there.